Good evening everyone, online students. Is it audible? Please let me know. Good evening Kalyani, good evening Sohani. In the previous class we were discussing the achievements of League of Nations. League of Nations. As part of that, these are also some of the achievements, particularly 4 lakh prisoners of war repatriated. So, they were sent to their own countries. Turkish refugee camps helped, as well as leprosy. Okay. They were even helping the leprosy patients. Drug companies were blacklisted. Attacks on slave owners in Sierra Leone and Burma. So, they were even against slavery, and then they were giving economic advice to Austria, Hungary. These are all achievements of League of Nations. But why did League of Nations fail to preserve peace? The failure of League of Nations may be attributed to many causes. The one thing is close link with the Treaty of Versailles, which made it like an organization created especially for the benefit of victorious powers. So, it looked like whoever are the winners, like allied forces. Make no mistake, this international organization, League of Nations, must be meant for the welfare of all the countries in the world. But we all know allied forces were victorious. They were dominating all the terms. That was the problem. It is not about winners or losers, it is about the welfare of all the countries in the world, and main thing is to prevent future wars. Most of them will say that it is to prevent another world war. But I personally feel any war is going to involve loss of life and lot of damage to economy. Lot of people will become unemployed, orphans. So, it is not just about world wars. Okay, it is about creating peace, cooperation among the countries, and then any kind of war. You take Ukrainian war, is it not a pathetic point into one? That is also must have been stopped by United Nations. You must have heard about the Syrian crisis, how big that crisis was. That should have been prevented. So, that is the role of these organizations, whether it is League of Nations or United Nations, anything, they had to prevent this. So, it looked like this treaty was for all those victorious countries. And then United States did not join. So, we all know United States was a little bit selfish. If you join, you have to fight wars on behalf of your friends or members of that organization. It wanted to retaliate only when it comes to it, otherwise it does not want to involve. But it has changed its stand in Second World War. After Second World War, American President Roosevelt was the one who proposed the United Nations. While war was still going on, they started to set up this United Nations of organization. But here this League of Nations, once the war was over, they have started setting up League of Nations. Now, other important powers not involved. We know Germany was actually not allowed, as they thought it was a principal belligerent country, the one which has started, aggressor. So, they did not allow to join, and as we all know, Russia was like pariah, I mean isolated. The reason for that is communalism. All the countries were very much scared, little bit allergic to Russia's relationship. They were not at all communicating, they were not at all inviting Russia for any sort of international discussions or negotiations or any treaties. So, communalism was seen like that, particularly Lenin and Stalin, all these people gave that sort of impression for the international, other countries. So, Russia was not allowed to join in 1917. Serious weakness in the covenant. So, the League had no military force of its own. That is one more thing. Unlike United Nations got peacekeeping forces. When there is a war, they will start some sort of treaties and agreements to implement those peace treaties. United Nations sent their military. It is not that United Nations is recruiting the military directly, but that soldiers, even India had contributed to United Nations. So, they all contribute soldiers to United Nations, and that soldiers are like peacekeeping forces or some sort of a military whenever it is required, with the consultation of Security Council and Assembly, all the countries, they decide whether to send the military or not. But in the case of League of Nations, that military was not there. That was the biggest problem. Then domination of France and England. You see, it was felt that League of Nations was dominated by England and France. Consequently, other states began to lose their confidence in that organization. It is same with United Nations also. Those 5 countries, permanent countries in United Security Council, they dominate. So, it is a likely scenario, whatever the international organization, these big countries with economic power, military power are going to dominate, and the rest of the countries are going to feel that pain. The world economic crisis in 1929, we have seen that Great Depression, which contributed to rise of fascist and Nazist countries. We discussed that in that topic, when there was depression throughout the world, which affected most of the countries. This right-wing ultra-nationalist countries, parties, they came to power. Good example is fascism and Nazism. And then we all know that they are very belligerent, always like warmongers, wanted to wage wars. So, it is not easy to contain them. So, you know, Manchuria crisis. We all know that Japan had always wanted to occupy Manchuria? The reason is, it is very simple. UNSC is same, right, Peacekeeping Forces Organization. UNSC is United Nations Security Council. Kalani, that is United Nations Security Council. That is one of the organs, branches of United Nations. But now we are discussing League of Nations failures. The next topic is United Nations, very big one and very important topic also. So, you see, Japan did not have much natural resources. It is a island country, and there are a lot of natural resources in Manchuria. So, for the sake of raw material sources, particularly all the countries were facing that economic crisis. They wanted some sort of source for strengthening the economy. For that reason, Japan wanted to occupy Manchuria. We know it happened in 1937 also. Okay, we call it Sino-Japan Wars. Sino means here China. Sino-Japan Wars. 1931, Japanese troops invaded Chinese territory of Manchuria. League of Nations failed to implement sanctions on Japan. Okay, 1933, Japan decided to withdraw her membership of League of Nations. This is exactly when Germany also withdrew its membership. The reason is 1933, Hitler comes to power. So, strategically, if you had to wage a war, if you ask to militarize his country, first he has to withdraw. So, he started withdrawing from League of Nations. Then failure of disarmament conference. So, we all know that disarmament was not happening, even now it is not happening. That is one of the important aims of League of Nations as well as United Nations. So, most of the countries, when they saw, Kritika, good evening, when they saw Hiroshima Nagasaki attack, you see, as a common man, you see how many people are dying, but developing countries, what they see is how, how strong those bombs are. We should also have those bombs. This is the perception. Okay. So, that incident made other countries jealous. They started a arms race. Okay. Then League of Nations was not in a position to control them. That was the problem. Italian invasion of Abyssinia. Okay. So, the most serious blow to League of Nations prestige and credibility. You can see that when Abyssinia is in Africa, Ethiopia. Okay. When it attacked Abyssinia, then people thought, okay, this is not going to, this League of Nations is not going to do anything. Once they saw it was not able to contain Japan, now Italy. So, slowly you have to understand one thing, this territorial distribution after World War I created so much chaos, because most of the people do not know what are the boundaries of their own country. You are living in one country, all of a sudden you become the citizen of another country. You find a lot of culture shocks, strange things and boundaries, everything was chaotic. So, this boundary distribution, demarcation of new boundaries after World War I created more problems than it solved. Okay. So, it created more problems. And then what happens, as I told you, whole Europe was divided into two. Like some countries wanted to follow those treaties, very perfectly. Some other countries, they do not want to follow. As we have discussed, Turkey is the first country. It was opposing those treaties. So, they will always wait for the chance to reoccupy. And some countries like Germany, they would go beyond that. In the name of taking revenge, they tried to occupy whole world also. What Hitler said, he wanted to like occupy all those territories he lost, but it is very clear he had lost some territories to Poland. But what he did, he tried to occupy whole Poland and France, Belgium, like that. So, in the name of revenge or taking back those territories, he was trying to occupy other countries. So, different countries had different options, they had their different goals. And then Sanyam, good evening. After the Abyssinian crisis, League gradually died. League gradually died. You can see that Italy left the League in 1937. Few other countries left League, but all of them realized that it had failed. Instead, they began to rearm as fast as possible. 1938, British France tried new policy, that is appeasement. So, we all know this. We discussed that in World War II, what is policy of appeasement. So, you will be able to understand this very easily. So, they were trying to negotiate with Hitler. So, why they were discussing, this appeasement policy? The reason is, at that time, after depression, all the countries were not interested to start another war. Second thing is, League of Nations became very ineffective. League of Nations became very ineffective. Then countries like England and France had to directly deal with aggressors like Hitler. If they dictate terms, again it may escalate into another war. That is why they were trying to pacify, trying to discuss with them and trying to agree some of the their claims or desires, like for example, Hitler said, I would like to occupy Sudetenland land. Okay, do it, no problem, but you just stop there please. He said, I will do that, I will not go beyond that. We all know, we all think Hitler is very dangerous and dangerous person, but he is very cunning person also. He never delivered on his promises. What he did for Russia, that Molotov-Ribbentrop pact, non-aggression pact, did he deliver on his promise? No. Did he keep his promise? He didn't. So, like that, he never followed whatever he said. That is one problem. Then Hitler invaded Czechoslovakia. People were silent. This is appeasement policy. Okay, that was another problem. And Britain and France, these two countries were actually giving their support to Poland. They said, in case if you are attacked, we will support you. So, until Poland was attacked in 1939, Britain and France were very quiet, very quiet. So, that is appeasement policy, and those countries gave some bizarre explanations also. What they said, you call it even pony war also, that half 6 months of time they did not do anything. They said, we were preparing for the war, we are strengthening our military in the 6 months of time. So, how to fight Germany? They gave this sort of reasons. And then League of Nations was failure, that is one reason. Okay. They also thought that this Treaty of Versailles was very unjust, unfair to them. So, some of his claims were not very unreasonable, they are not unreasonable, they are somewhat reasonable. So, let him take those territories. This is what appeasement policy is all about. Okay. Then in 1943, Tehran, okay, Iran capital, America, Britain, Russia agreed to set up new international organization, United Nations, that is after the World War. That means you can see that World War ended in 1945, but they started discussing United Nations in 1943 itself. 1943 itself. League met in Geneva, formally abolished itself. So, League of Nations, okay, it abolished itself in 1946. 1946. Okay. Then international relations from 1919 to 1931. We know Hitler came to power in 1933, then Mussolini came to power in 1922. So, it is easy to remember 1922 Mussolini, 33 Hitler, attempts to improve international relations. So, there are some attempts, he was not successful, I mean League of Nations was not successful, only attempts. It played an important role in setting number of international disputes. What are the disputes? You see, Das plan. So, pronunciation is not DAOs, it is Das plans. What is Das plans? America was negotiating with the USA. I mean, USA was negotiating with the Germany regarding reparations. So, America was trying to make it easy for Germany, that is Das plan. There was another one like a Young plan, Young's plan. So, what it made is, we will discuss that one next, but I would like to tell you now itself, so that you remember very easily. That is, first one is Das plan, just America was trying to make it easy to pay, manageable. Second one is, it is again very interesting, 6 billion reparation, 6.6 to be precise, it was reduced to 2 billion, 2 billion, that is Young's plan. These two are very important. Then what was Washington Conference? So, Washington Conference resulted in Naval Armaments Treaty according to ratio of tonnage of capital for Great Britain, USA, Japan, France, Italy. That means, what is the strength of your navy? According to that, they should go with their plans. Ratio of the strength of the navy, that is tonnage of capital of Great Britain, US, Japan, France, Italy. What is Geneva Conference? Not Geneva, Genoa. You know where is Genoa? It is in Italy. Italy. You might have seen, that is where Giuseppe Mazzini was born, Genoa. So, Italy held discussions for economic reconstruction of Eastern Europe countries, okay, to explore relations between Soviet Russia and European capitalist regimes. We all know that most of the countries were hesitant to make relationship with Russia. So, now Italy is taking lead here. It is trying to improve relationship with the Eastern European countries with Russia, because Russia is a communist country. All the countries were very hesitant to make any relationship with Russia. And then you can see Locarno treaties. Actually, Locarno is in Switzerland. Okay. Sometimes how do they get the name? Either people who are involved the treaty, for example, Molotov, Ribbentrop, these are foreign secretaries, foreign ministries of Russia and Germany. That is how it got name. Either the people who are involved in it primarily or the place in which it is taking place. Then you can remember it very easily. Otherwise, just remembering Locarno, you may remember for 1 or 2 days, after that you will forget it. So, it is important to remember all those nuances, names of the people, name of the places. And there is some strange reason, most of the treaties, most of them take place in Switzerland. Maybe Switzerland is such a very good country. All these leaders would like to go there like a picnic or like something, they wanted to have treaties there. So, Locarno, the reason why I am saying is Switzerland is not involved in any of the conflicts, but most of the treaties take place in Switzerland. That is why I am saying it is a little bit strange. We may guess that as this country is so beautiful and climate is good, people are trying to go there. That is just like a funny guess, but the thing is, we all know whether it is World War I, World War II, it was just there in the hot sea, Central Europe, but it was never involved. That is important. As a country, we should not involve. You know what happened to Austria-Hungary? It was involved. How many countries it was divided into? That is what happens when you are going to wars. So, Switzerland did not do that mistake. There were a number of different agreements including Germany, France, Britain, Belgium, Poland, Czechoslovakia. Germany, France, Belgium agreed to respect joint frontiers. It is nothing but we need to respect the boundaries. We should not violate the boundaries. That was the only agenda of that Locarno Treaty. Then Kellogg's Briand Pact. So, this is those people involved, those ministers or those secretaries I think, Kellogg and Briand Pact. It developed in 1928, United States Secretary of State. You know, in United States, Secretary of State position is very powerful, more powerful than minister. Frank Kellogg and French Foreign Minister, but here this is French Foreign Minister Briand jointly denounced war and aspect of policy. So, these are very general agreements. First one, you have to respect boundaries. Second one, there should not be any war. But we all know how much these countries give importance to these treaties. Then Young's plan, I already discussed this one. I have already discussed. It has become 2 billion, 6.6 billion is reduced to 2 billion. That was the greatest. So, this Young's plan is very important. The reason is, where is it 6.6 billion, where is it 2 billion? Germany might have felt very happy about this. Young plan 1929. They gave time 59 years of time. Set up the Bank for International Settlements to handle the transfer of funds. See, this is how when we see Treaty of Versailles, not only people, common people, even France and Britain felt Treaty of Versailles was too harsh on Germany. But when did it pay? It did not pay to become harsh. You understand? At that time they look like very harsh, but you know USA never they might have asked them, but they did not occupy their country for not paying. So, Germany had its they were very lenient to Germany. So, Treaty of Versailles looked like harsh one, but Germany did not pay all of the reparations. So, they were lenient. Then World Disarmament Conference, we have already discussed this. Disarmament is very important. Now, all countries are going for nuclear armament. So, we all know how difficult nuclear weapons are, how dangerous those weapons are. Disarmament conference was convened in Geneva to consider reductions in armaments. Again see, where is Geneva? Switzerland. Okay. With particular emphasis on offensive weapons. 1933, Japan withdrew its membership from League of Nations, as they were refusing for a demand for equality. Germany was asking for equality, but member countries were not accepting in League of Nations. Hitler thought this is a very good chance to withdraw. So, he wants some kind of a reason. Okay, in that pretext he withdrew. This is what happened. Then France attempt to deal with problem of Germany. We all know France and Germany always had a problem. In World War II, which country was the biggest victim of German attack? Poland and Germany. That is why most of the territories, like whole Saar, rich land of Saar, coal fields, it was given to France for 15 years. Rhineland was demilitarized because it is in border with France, and France was always trying to do something regarding this. It was trying to do that Germany won't attack France again. Did it happen? No. Again Germany attacked France. It occupied for 4 years. It did not happen. But France was actually doing everything in its capacity to demilitarize Germany, to isolate Germany, okay, and then to make it economically weak. It was doing everything, whatever it could do. But what really happened is Germany did not stop. Okay. So, economically, militarily weak, that is what I have already discussed. Signing alliances with other countries to isolate Germany in international politics. Then all these methods failed at the end. We all know that, because Germany started Second World War and it attacked France. Then what was the relationship between USSR and Britain? So, we all know that USSR was not such a country at that time where it had good relationship with other European countries. But only the problem is why countries wanted to have some sort of relationship. They wanted to avoid wars, or otherwise most of the countries were not interested in a communist country. That was a big problem. So, now see relations between USSR and Anglo-Prussian Trade Treaty 1921. However, it worsened. You try to understand here, Great Britain has got two parties. One is Labour Party, the other one is a Conservative Party. Whenever Conservative Party came, the relationships not good. You can see that. Relationship improved briefly when MacDonald, the new Labour government, gave full diplomatic recognition. So, when Labour Party was there in Great Britain, relationships were good with USSR, but with the Conservative Party, not good. So, the relationships were like on and off. It depended on the government in UK. So, you can see that relationship improved. However, it worsened in Geneva Conference when British Prime Minister said George had to, they said USSR had to pay reparations for a Bolshevik war. Bolshevik war took place after Russian Revolution. Bolshevik, Mensheviks, some civil war was there, and Lloyd George was suggesting they have to pay reparations. So, this actually angered Russians. Relationship was not good. Labour Party came, MacDonald became Prime Minister, relationships were good. Again, under the Conservatives, relationships worsened. Again, relationship improved in 1929 after signing trade treaty. However, situation worsened again when Conservatives dominated national government. So, Conservatives did not like USSR. That is as simple as that. Then, relation between USSR and Germany. USSR and Germany. See, trade treaty signed granting Russian made 1 minute. Russian trade and mineral concession to some German industries. So, that is why it was okay with Germany at that time. Another treaty is Berlin Rapallo Agreement, and then another one in 1930 relations began to cool over growing power of Germany. It is not cool concern here, relationships were not good, That means Germany was becoming a very strong country and USSR was worried about it. Then what about relationship between USSR and France? Bolshevik took over, a serious blow to France. So, most of the countries were not interested the rise of Bolsheviks. I do not know whether you remember or not, when we were discussing Russian Revolution, Mensheviks and then Conservatives were all supported by foreign countries. Foreign countries supported them, but still Bolsheviks they managed to triumph over Mensheviks. Why did all of them supported Mensheviks and Conservatives? The reason is very simple. They did not want a communist party, that is Bolshevik, to come to power. So, this is the reason. That is why France was also not happy with the Bolshevik rise. Relationship improved in 1924 when moderate Hériot government. Hériot is France Prime Minister. When he came to power, the relationship was somewhat okay. Then what about Eastern Europe during interwars? Successor states. Successor states, you see, we discussed that we have this Austria and then Hungary. All this Austrian Hungary was divided into, that was like one country, or you call it a Habsburg Empire. Remember that one? First World War was like a graveyard of dynasties. Russians, Romanovs, then Habsburg of Austria, then what is the other dynasty, biggest dynasty? Bourbon dynasty, then Hohenstaufen dynasty, that is a German dynasty. All these dynasties were actually they came to an end. This is the graveyard of dynasties for particularly World War I. Now, you can see that from Austria, Yugoslavia became an independent country, Czechoslovakia became an independent country, Hungary became independent country, and Austria became independent country. Very interestingly, Yugoslavia was bigger. Yugoslavia and Czechoslovakia were bigger than Austria and Hungary. Okay. So, these are all known as successor states. They came from Austria-Hungary Empire. So, you can see that 1 minute. I try to show some maps here. Okay. Where are these? This PC. Downloads. What is this? Okay, I will show you that picture later. Sohini Heriot was the head of France Prime Minister at that time. France Prime Minister. Okay. Then, so successor states means these countries became independent after World War I because of that treaties. Okay. So, they are successor states. So, Austro-Hungarian or Habsburg Empire lost extensive territory by Germany, Russia as a result of First World War. Nation states were formed. So, you try to understand, nation state is opposite to dynasties. Habsburg Empire is a dynasty. After First World War or even after French Revolution, all these nation states started, okay, I mean countries wanted to become democratic or nation states after French Revolution, and it speeded up after World War I. Okay. Then Yugoslavia is another country, okay, on the north of Austria. This is another country, consisted of Serbia, Montenegro, Croatia, Slovenia, Dalmatia. So, now you do not have all these countries. Earlier these were countries. All this became one country, that is Yugoslavia. Then we call, most of them are Slav nationalists. Okay, Slav race, not nationalists, Slav races. Even in Russia, most of the people are Slavs. Now, Czechoslovakia. This is also one country. Okay, you remember Hitler first attacked this country before World War II. World War II he attacked this and nobody said anything. So, Czechoslovakia declared independence from Hungary, and then it was the only country which was very peaceful, I mean somewhat democratic during that time, able to function reasonably well as a democratic country. Then we all know Poland, the biggest victim of World War II. How Russia and Germany, because it is in between Russia and Germany. If it is Germany, Russia, in between that Poland is there. So, it is like sandwiched between two belligerent countries. That was the problem. So, we all know that Molotov-Ribbentrop treaty, non-aggression treaty, they wanted to take, you take this Poland, I will take this eastern Poland. This is how Germany and USSR was planning. So, normally allied powers were very sympathetic towards Poland. So, they gave most of the territories which they deserve. For example, established a democratic government in 1922. Then what happened? Actually, due to some social economic crisis, a dictator takes power. Who is the dictator? Okay, Joseph Pilsudski. So, this guy became dictator. Later what happened? Some of the people in Poland, they started a national unity. They took control in 1937. Mass organization based on social justice and nationalism. Okay. So, some elite politicians in Poland consolidated power. So, they brought some sort of a democratic kind of a government. So, that is about Poland. Now, when it comes to Hungary, it was part of Habsburg Empire. Okay. After the disintegration of Habsburg Empire, Hungary declared itself independent. The government came under the control of a liberal national council with Karolyi, okay, Karolyi as the first president. Remember, this name is important. Karolyi was the first president of Hungary. Okay. Now, Austria. We all know, as I told you, Austria is it was very powerful country, but now it has become weak. It is one country that has become weak along with Turkey. Of course, Turkey is still a very big country even after the territorial losses, but Austria has become very small country. Okay. New democratic constitution, parliament elected by proportional representation. So, we have already discussed what is proportional representation. It is decided on the percentage of the votes. You get number of seats and the percentage of the votes. World depression affected Austria very badly. So, most of the countries were affected by depression, and Austria was affected more than any other country. Then international relations from 1932 to 1939. So, this is most volatile period, because 1939 World War started, Second World War started. So, that is why it is the most volatile. Actually, you can say these incidents from 1933 to 39, I used to tell you time and again, that is when Hitler came to power, 1933. Okay, it is a matter of 6 years. He made Germany ready for a world war. So, that is very strange thing how he was able to do it. So, we can say this is like a warm up this 6 years is like a warm up for World War II. Okay. Then you can see always Japan was troubling China. So, this is very funny thing. Japan is a small island and China is such a big country, and it is like a small creature troubling the elephant like a nation. Okay. Japanese invasion of Manchuria, 1931 itself it attacked Manchuria. I told you why Japan attacked Manchuria. The reason is it has a lot of natural resources, and other thing is whole world was going through depression. Japan wanted some raw materials, so it attacked. So, within a few days German forces occupied several strategic points in South Manchuria. So, what are the reasons? Reasons were there are too many, but see, Manchuria was valuable trade outlet Japan wanted to keep for itself. Then Japan was given Port Arthur privileged position in South Manchuria after Russian Japan war. Since then Japan had invested in the development of industry, banking, railways there. To guard all its investments, Japan kept large army in southern Manchuria. So, Japan invested near Manchuria. It wanted to keep it securely. For that security, it wanted to attack Manchuria. It is very simple. We have discussed Meiji restoration. Japan became very wealthy and a strong country from military point of view. Then your priorities change. This is what happened with Japan. Okay. Then, however, Chinese influence was growing under Chiang Kai-shek. Japan felt being squeezed out of the valuable province. At the time of world economic depression, this was not affordable. This was a major reason for Japan's invasion. And then on the eve of Second World War, Japan controlled most of the eastern China. So, had Japan not been defeated in Second World War, things would have been very different. It would have been very different. So, Mussolini's foreign policy. We all know Hitler came into power 1933, Mussolini 1922. Hitler, himself told he was inspired by Mussolini. But Mussolini's regime was, we know he was like a thug, like a dictator, but the problem is he himself was very confusing. His foreign policy was very much confusing. So, foreign policy was very confusing. At this stage, Mussolini policy was determined by rivalries with France and France's influence in Balkan Mediterranean region. So, online students, what is Balkan here? Can you tell me why Italy was very much concerned about the influence of Balkan and Mediterranean region? Tell me about Balkan region, why Italy was concerned about Balkan region, France influence in Balkan region. Can you answer that question? Another consideration was Germany and its influence were Austria. So, he dealt with both problems using diplomacy. He tried to cultivate good relationship with the USA, Britain, Russia. So, although Mussolini was a dictator, a fascist dictator, he did not, he was not aggressive with other countries. He was only aggressive with France, and they were aggressive with some African countries. They wanted to make them colonial countries. But he was good with USA, see, Russia, Britain, Greece, Hungary, Albania. So, Mussolini was not like Hitler. Yeah, Sanyam, naval port, actually Balkan is Balkan countries, they broke away from Ottoman Empire. They are like 14, 15 countries from Ottoman Empire. And this Balkan tensions is one of the important reasons for World War I. World War I. So, they were always suspicious. Even after World War, Balkan countries were in race. Okay, they were jealous of each other's strength. If one country is developing militarily and economically, they were not happy. And next thing is, countries like Germany, France, Britain and Italy, they wanted to have some Balkan countries as their banana republics or satellite countries. Okay. Whatever they say, they have to listen, that sort of countries. So, for that reason, these big countries of Europe were making these Balkan countries as their satellite states. That was a race between big countries. And even these Balkan countries were very jealous, suspicious of other countries. That is why so many alliances took place even before World War. And nobody knows who is making alliances with whom. You understand? So, this is one of the reasons, Balkan tensions is one of the reasons. The same way, Italy and France are very much against here each other, and they are trying to have control over Balkan countries. Other countries are also trying to have control, particularly the rivalry is between Italy and France here. That is why they are concerned about France domination over Balkan countries. So, you can call it Balkan tensions. Balkan tensions is one of the reasons for World War, and it continued even after World War. And all those countries end with A, like Croatia, Romania, Czechoslovakia, Yugoslavia. Okay, even Greek was also a Balkan country. They all were part of Great Ottoman Empire. And now only Turkey is the country which was part of Ottoman Empire. All other countries became independent. You may call it nation states. That nationalism, liberal nationalism influenced the states to break away from Ottoman Empire. Then that is Balkan tension. Now, after 1934, Mussolini drifted from extreme suspicion of Hitler. It is very interesting. Hitler was inspired by Mussolini, but Mussolini was suspicious of Hitler. Later, he started admiring, desired to imitate him. So, as if Hitler was a role model, Mussolini was trying to imitate him. Okay. His changing attitude can be clearly understood from the following events. When Hitler announced reintroduction of conscription, what is conscription? Recruitment, military recruitment. Conscription is a recruitment, sometimes it is a forced recruitment. Hitler wanted all the people to be ready for war. So, that is conscription. Mussolini joined Britain, France in condemning German action. So, Mussolini was against, he became against him. Then later, Britain signed Anglo-German naval agreement. Then we all see that Italy, this is one of the failures of League of Nations. When Italy invaded Abyssinia, African country, the League condemned Italy as aggressor, imposed sanctions, but at the same time, it did not stop the supply of oil and coal. So, when you are supplying oil and coal, you are supporting it. This is what happened. This is because Britain and France were trying to appease Mussolini. So, Britain and France were appeasing not only Germany, but also Italy also. Okay. When Italy attacked Abyssinia, neither League of Nations nor powerful countries like France and Great Britain doing anything. They were not doing anything, they were appeasing. So, during Spanish Civil War, Mussolini extended support to Franco. Try to understand, this guy Franco was a right-wing leader in Civil War of Spain. Not only Mussolini, even okay, I will try to ask one question. Hitler attacked many countries. Why didn't Hitler attack Spain? Why didn't he attack Spain? Online students, let me ask you this question again. Why didn't Hitler attack Spain during Second World War? What was the reason? Can you answer that question? Okay. Then these alliances started. What are these alliances? Axis. German joined hands with Italy. Okay. German joined hands with Japan. Then Germany made alliance with two countries. First, separately they joined hands with pacts with Italy and Japan separately. Then three countries had alliance that they wanted to start. So, there were some theories floating. Some people, some historians say Hitler was not intending to start a world war. He was only trying to take those territories back. But this is absolutely wrong. If that is true, why would he join hands with Italy and Japan? Okay, it was very much pre-planned. He had his goals, priorities. He was trying to occupy most of the countries. We may not be sure that he was trying to wage a second world war or not, that is a different thing. But he was not trying to stop with one or two countries. He had his intention to occupy Russia, intentions for against Poland, Belgium, France. So, this is very true. He had those intentions to occupy many countries as possible. Then Mussolini reached an understanding with Hitler, joined anti-Comintern pact with German and Japan. So, Comintern means against anti-Semitic means against Jewish. Anti-Comintern means against community. I mean, what we say communist. Anti-Comintern means against communist. This is German. Hitler is very cunning. Here he is anti-communist. There he made that non-aggression Molotov-Ribbentrop pact. So, that is how he is cunning. At the same time, he is entering to different treaties, different pacts which are opposite, exactly opposite. Okay. Then Italian troops occupied Albania. Italians signed Germany Pact of Steel, which promised full military support to Germany in case of war. Non-German speaking people. So, my question is, why Hitler did not attack Spain? As I told you here, Franco, where is that? Franco? Franco. This guy was leader in civil war in Spain. So, Mussolini supported Franco, even Hitler also supported Franco, and he became dictator of Spain after civil war. So, that is one of the reasons. Spain is one, Spain and Portugal are two countries which you do not see in world wars, not much, okay, along with Switzerland. Assessment of Hitler's aim in foreign policy. What is Hitler's foreign policy? He hoped to make Germany great power again, destroying hated Versailles settlement. He wanted to militarize his army. He wanted to recover territories. Saar, very famous for coal fields. It was given 15 years to France after World War I. World War I. He wanted to take it back, like Rhineland. Immediately he starts militarizing in Rhineland. Okay. Then he wanted to take back Saar, Sudetenland. Then Polish corridor also. It is very rich from agriculture point of view, very rich fertile lands. So he wanted to take all those lands, but we know he went beyond this. Okay, he was not just taking back those territories, he went beyond this. Then bringing all Germans inside Reich, that is annexing territories with large German minority population. This is very funny thing, because you are a country, German country. German speaking people are there 1%, 2% in Belgium also, in Poland, in Czechoslovakia. What he feels is, okay, I want those countries. Is it possible? Indians are there in America, can you go and occupy? Indians are there in Gulf, can you go and occupy? So Hitler has bizarre logic. Okay, wherever Germans are there, okay, if possible, you attract them, let them come back to your country. No, it's not like that. I will go and occupy that country. Even 1% German speaking people, that is my country. So that's a beautiful logic. When you are strong, you can say whatever you want. This is what Hitler did. Okay, so what is the word he used for that? Online students, Hitler wanted to occupy most of the countries where German speaking people are there. Okay, he wanted space for German speaking people. Okay, he wanted space. So very simple, his claim, his desire is very simple, but people did not like him. Okay, very simple. He wanted space for his German speaking people. And what is the word he used for that? Online students, can you answer that question? Is it a Saturday syndrome? I will wait for your answer. What is the word given by Hitler for, we call it exactly to say living space. He wanted living space for Germans. That is why he was trying to occupy Poland, Belgium, Czechoslovakia and even Russia also. He saw a lot of space in Russia. That is why Russia would be a good place okay, for German speaking people. Okay, Sanyam, no problem. Anybody else? Okay, I will tell you in 1 or 2 minutes. Yeah, Kritika, great, that's great. Sohini, that's great. I am happy. Even on Saturday night you are answering. I appreciate you. Lebensraum. Okay, living space. Living space. He wanted living space. So he saw a lot of space in Russia. So he wanted to attack. Hitler began his foreign policy with a series of successes. Okay. So his foreign policy. Withdrew Germany from disarmament conference. Okay? He said, I will strengthen my military. I am not interested in disarmament. That's he withdrew. Announced reintroduction of conscription. Forced military appointments, recruitments. Then immediately sent to Rhineland in violation of Versailles Treaty and Locarno. Okay, Locarno Treaty. That is Switzerland. So, Rhineland was demilitarized. Rhineland was demilitarized. This is a complaint at earlier. It was not showing that there is a lecture today, but suddenly held. I did not know, so I did not join. Yes, Frija, sorry, because there is some technical problem. Okay, that's why students are not, very few students are joining. Yeah, Frija, you are correct. The reason is when I came to class, there was no schedule. There was no schedule. So I think they schedule it right now. They have scheduled it as usual. So my classes will be on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 7 to 9. That is a fixed schedule. If there are any changes, they will inform you. So they have scheduled, due to some technical problems, it was not actually shown there. So we regret that inconvenience. That's why I could not see your answers. Some of the students who are answering frequently, I felt it is Saturday syndrome, but it is actually technical snag from our end. Okay, so we regret, don't mind. No mail text is sent to us. The reason is, class is scheduled, that's why they did not say anything, they did not inform. Okay. That's why student number is little bit less today. Okay. Then sent troops to Rhineland. We all know that Rhineland was, so they don't inform, we have to visit Portfolio by ourselves. No need, actually my class timings are Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So in unforeseeable circumstances there may be change, otherwise there won't be any change. Okay. And I will request admin people to rectify and not to let this happen again. Okay. Okay, Frija, I think you are okay with this answer. So Rhineland was demilitarized. It was in the border of France. France was always concerned over Germany's military presence. That's why it is one of the terms of Treaty of Versailles, that there should not be any military. According to Treaty of Versailles, Germany should have only 1 lakh army. Even in the 1 lakh army, nobody should be there in Rhineland. But immediately Hitler started militarizing that area. Then formed Rome-Berlin axis, then anti-Comintern pact with Japan, then supported Franco. I told you, he supported Franco here. So it was like a warm up for German military. He has sent some military to Spain to support Franco. Spain. Okay. Then he annexed Austria. This is another interesting thing. As if Austria was their ancestral country, when they annexed Austria, nothing happened. This country was partner, main partner for Germany in First World War. In Second World War, he annexed it and nobody resisted. Nobody resisted. They felt, okay, Hitler is taking our country, let him take like that. So much a positivity for Hitler in the beginning. Everything was in his favor. Particularly when he was annexing Czechoslovakia and Austria, nobody resisted. Neither those country people nor the other countries, nobody resisted. Then Hitler was allowed to get away with all this because of appeasement. So you understand how important this appeasement is. We are getting this topic time and again. I do not want to discuss that, we have already discussed. And see, Das Young plans, this is USA was discussing how to make it manageable war reparations, and this is from 6.6 billion to 2 billion. Reparations were reduced. These are all part of appeasement. Neville Chamberlain. Okay. Some people say he was the person who started this appeasement. World War, 2 prime ministers were there. First one Chamberlain, next one is Winston Churchill. Winston Churchill was prime minister of Britain later after Chamberlain. So he became first prime minister. He gave new impetus. Impetus means a start to appeasement. He wanted to show Hitler that his claims could be negotiable rather than force. Okay, that is appeasement. What is the justification of appeasement? It is also important concept. We have already discussed one thing. All world was going through depression. Okay, not mental depression, economic depression. Due to economic depression, major countries, France, Britain, they did not want to start another war. Even the mood in the country was like that. People were not interested. As they are democratic countries, they do not want that problem, they may lose in elections. That is why countries were not interested. So how to do that? League of Nations was also weak. Then these countries have to deal with those countries, that Hitler, in a personal capacity and try to discuss with them. So when you are negotiating, you have to accept some of the terms of Hitler also. He himself is a dictator, and you cannot say, hey Mr. Hitler, you just keep quiet. He does not agree. They have to say, okay, you take this, you do this, but do not go beyond this. You take Czechoslovakia, you take Sudetenland, okay, do not go beyond. He says, I will accept that, I will not go beyond that. Then he did whatever he wanted. This is appeasement policy. I mean, this is a logic for appeasement policy. Okay. They were financially depleted. Then sentiment was not, it was to avoid war. Many felt Germany, Italy had genuine grievances. So this is the reason is they felt Treaty of Versailles was very harsh, and their claims were very genuine. And League of Nations was very weak. We have discussed that. Fear. This is another interesting reason. Remember this. Okay, at that time, online students, I am asking you one more question, try to answer. France and Great Britain were worried about communist Russia's rise rather than Hitler's rise. You see, France and Great Britain failed to understand that Hitler is a potential threat to the international order. They thought Russia was potential threat to international order. The reason is they are a communist country, they are very aggressive. That is why Great Britain and France were concentrating more on Russia and its rise, how to deal with that, rather than Germany. They always thought German was a victim like that, a victim. Okay. For that, they wanted Germany as a kind of a country who can stop. You see, Russia is here, okay, and then Poland here, and then Germany here somewhere, England and France. So they wanted this strong nation. What is that? Germany. Between Russia and France and UK. UK and France wanted one strong nation like Germany before Russia. Okay. So what is the word they used for that? That one starts with a B. Starts with a B. Online students, can you answer that? They wanted Germany as one kind of a state or country. Okay. So France and Great Britain were concerned about the rise of Russia rather than Germany. That is why they started appeasing Germany, Hitler's Germany. You see, 38-39 Munich conference. Where is Munich? Where is Munich? It is a city in Germany. It is a city in Germany. So, Munich conference. Settlements reached by Germany, Great Britain, France, Italy that permitted Germany annexation of the Sudetenland and Czechoslovakia. They felt, Kritika, no problem. Okay. So, say they even permitted to occupy Western Czechoslovakia, as if that is not a country. You take western side of it. What happened? He occupied whole country. Then no Czechs or nor Russian representatives were invited to the conference. You all know that Russia is never invited. It is like unwanted relative. Okay, for any function, for any treaty, Russia is never invited because it is like unwanted relative. Then, as a result of the Munich agreement, Czechoslovakia was crippled with heavy loss, okay, and loss of industries, population and territory. Okay, let me answer you. They wanted Germany as buffer state. Do you remember it now? Buffer state and buffer country. That is why they were not at all worried about rise of Hitler. They were more scared of a communist Russia. If you see here, they were not inviting for any treaties. That is very clear. European countries were keeping Russia away from all the treaties. Then 1939, non-aggression pact signed between USSR and Germany. We discussed it many times. This is nothing but Molotov-Ribbentrop pact. Those secretaries, foreign ministers signed that pact, where they wanted to share Poland. Then Germans invasion of Poland 1939, that starts a world war. Britain declared war against Germany, France also declared war against Germany. This is what happened. Why did the Second World War break out? Okay. Long ongoing debate about who is responsible for World War. Okay. Who is responsible? Many reasons are there. Versailles Treaty is one important treaty which they felt it is very harsh and unfair for Germany. League of Nations collective security has been criticized. It did not have military, and they said you have to, League of Nations, for example, always asked member countries not to do trade with Germany. But countries, okay, they went ahead with Germany's trade. Why? What is the reason? What is the reason? It was economic depression. At that time, countries cannot afford to have restrictions on trade and business. They don't want to lose. So, League of Nations was asking not to talk to bad boys like Germany and Italy or something, but countries had no option. It was a economic depression. Then, world economic crisis without which Hitler would not have been able to come to power. So, this economic crisis is nothing but depression, economic depression. Were the appeasers to blame? Some historians believe appeasement policy was also reason for that. They argue that Britain and France should have taken strong position before Germany, and other reason is they thought Russia was more problematic than Germany. That is also reason. And some people feel USSR also reason of World War. The reason is they got into that agreement with a non-aggression treaty. So, if USSR hadn't have that agreement with Germany, see the biggest problem, Germany, the mistake of Germany in World War I is it has opened Eastern Front, Western Front at the same time. Okay, fighting on two fronts is not logical. That's why Hitler had agreement, non-aggression agreement with Russia, USSR, so that he can occupy all the countries in Western Front. So, in that way USSR is also one of the important reasons for World War I. World War II. Was Hitler to blame? We all know Hitler was very important reason. He attacked Poland on all fronts. So, what was his intention? He wanted to destroy Poland. He was not just taking the territories of Germany, he was trying to take all the territories, all the countries as much as possible. So, Hitler is no doubt, he is the prime reason for World War II. However, there is a different argument. APJ Taylor said something that Hitler was not interested, he was not going for Second World War, but I do not agree with this, but different versions are there. Okay. This is such a big chapter. Okay. 1 minute. Okay, we have one important topic here, very big one, United Nations. United Nations. So, we all know in 1945, okay, United Nations was started. As I told you, even before the World War ended, the discussion started in 1943 itself. 1943 itself to start an organization, not like a League of Nations, but a very powerful organization. Most of the people think that as we do not have a war after Second World War, United Nations is more successful than League of Nations, but I personally feel what is the, I mean, you see pathetic lives lost in Ukrainian war and Syrian war. My point is very simple. You take Syrian war, it was some sort of a civil war in Syria. Okay. The president was very much a dictator, unemployment, economic crisis were there, and people started protesting. It was just a protest. People came onto streets and they protested. That is how it started Syrian problem. Now, after that it became a full blown war for 10 years. 5 million people lost their lives. So, the point is United Nations did not stop this. United Nations did not stop Syrian war, neither the Syrian war nor Ukrainian war. And we all know United Nations is also like in the hands of 5 people, that is security. What is that? Permanent security members, that is P5. So, whatever they say, and another big problem is, biggest problem of UNO is veto powers. Whatever they say, America, I mean USSR and China, they always use their veto power and nothing is passed in United Nations or Security Council. These are the biggest problems. But still, when they compare League of Nations, people feel that United Nations is successful, because from 1945 till date there is no war. So, what is United Nations? Intergovernmental organization to promote international cooperation and maintain international order. What is international order here? So, international order, peace, security, these are all important. Peace and security, to promote peace and security, international order, international cooperation. So, it is intergovernmental organization. So, it is kind of replacement for the ineffective League of Nations. The organization was established on 24th October 1945 after World War II in order to prevent another such conflict. Okay. So, what is the UN Charter? What is UN Charter? Charter is like a constitution. Okay. So, all the countries, unlike League of Nations, around 50 countries participated. Even India has sent its representatives. How is that possible? How is that possible? Online students, India has sent representatives to UNO. Although India was not an independent country at that time, India was trying to take part in United Nations formation. So, it has sent its representative. Okay, countries like Poland, they did not participate. Later, they signed the ratification. So, most of the countries, 50 countries ratified. Now, you have how many countries are there in United Nations now? Online students? The question is, how many countries are there United Nations, in United Nations? How many countries? And where is it located, headquarters of United Nations? Kritika 20, Sanyam 192, actually 193. There are lot of branches and they have their headquarters. My point is United Nations headquarters. So, most of them are in Geneva, in New York and Geneva. So, headquarters is in New York. United Nations headquarters is in New York. There are a lot of branches and most of those branches are either in New York or Geneva. So, now what is the charter? UN governing document or like constitution. What does it say? Okay. Charter sets out following 4 main purposes. We discussed that peace, security, then developing relations among countries. So, without developing relations you cannot maintain peace and security. Then humanitarian international problems like Red Cross, okay, if there is any big problem, human rights problem, okay, humanitarian problem, UNO comes to help. Humanitarian international problems, providing forum for bringing countries together to meet UN's proposals and goals. So, Bern is capital city of Switzerland. It is in New York. It is in New York. Headquarters is in New York. So, you can see that UNO is a platform for all the countries. To come and meet, participate in policies, procedures and then goals. So, that is like a 4 important thing: peace and security, then developing relations, then humanitarian problems, to address humanitarian problems, and use UNO like a platform for all countries, okay, and to discuss goals and targets. Then fostering cooperation between nations in order to solve socio-economic, cultural, humanitarian problems. Okay. History of United Nations. History of United Nations. So, it is a predecessor entity. Entity means one, okay, organization or here one thing like that. That is it. And what is predecessor? It is opposite to successor. Successor is one who comes after. Predecessor is one who comes before. So, what is the predecessor entity? League of Nations. So, you can say UNO was successor of League of Nations. League of Nations is a predecessor. Then it was established in 1919. What? League of Nations. UNO is established in 1945. Discussion started in 43 itself. Okay. Then League of Nations was to encourage cooperation between countries and peace and security. Unfortunately, League of Nations failed to prevent World War II. Therefore, it was seen as a failure. So, League of Nations was always considered a failure. After World War II ended, representatives of allied powers, 24 other countries met in San Francisco. First 24 countries, later 51 countries. They all ratified, but first 24 countries, it was American President Roosevelt's proposal. American President Franklin Roosevelt's proposal to start UNO. They did that first conference in American city San Francisco. Conference sole purpose was to draft UN charter, that is UN constitution. They wanted to start constitution. Was signed by 51 countries. 51 countries, including Poland. It was not there in the conference, but later signed. It signed. Ratification of charter. Remaining members of the League of Nations met, unanimously voted to transfer all assets. You see, there were a lot of members in UNO. So, all these countries met, they unanimously decided to transfer all the assets, whatever the assets, funds, lands, everything, whatever assets, to transfer them to UNO. So, all the credit goes to one man, US President Franklin Roosevelt. You see, that is why America is powerful. In League of Nations, America is the one country which made League of Nations very weak. They did not join, they were not interested. Now, the same country started the proposal of UNO, all other countries had to follow it. Then, structure of UNO, we have 6 organs or 6 branches of UNO, very important. One, General Assembly. This is where you see 193 members here. They belong to General Assembly. All the nations have got one vote. So, that is General Assembly. But powerful one is a Security Council. But nothing happens in that. Why? Because of a veto power. And we know America used 3 times veto power. US. China used I think 6 or 7 times, 6 times. And then Russia used 10 times. And we can say Russia and China are making Security Council a big joke, kind of a circus. The reason is Russia has been attacking Ukraine for many days, for many years, not just now. So, whenever they attacked, some resolution is passed in the UN Security Council, something must be done on this. And why would Russia support that? Russia will take veto power. And when Russia does that, China is always supporting. So, most of the times China is, they used 6 times, 7 times like that, veto power. They did this in tandem with US, Russia. That means they together used veto power. That is why nothing happens. Most powerful organ of UNO is Security Council. In Security Council, you have 15 countries. 15 countries. In that, 5 countries permanent. We say P5, permanent countries, and 10 of them are non-permanent, and their tenure is only 2 years. 2 years. Now, whatever happens, the resolution passes, then Russia, China says no. You know, Masood Azhar was a designated terrorist, okay, and the resolution is passed. India started. See, it is very interesting. Those Security Council have to say he is a terrorist until they say he is not a terrorist. He may be a terrorist, but if UNO Security Council recognizes somebody as a international terrorist, that is a serious thing. So, India wanted to make, he belongs to Jaish-e-Mohammed, terrorist organization, and you see everybody knows he is a terrorist, and it is a matter of formality to designate him as a terrorist, international terrorist. Then now China comes, we do not support it. So, that is China's foreign policy. The most problematic country, particularly for India, even for other countries also. That is why this Russia and China are dangerous for the international order. Even to say a terrorist, they have to support it, and they never support it. And Russia used it for its own interests, for its atrocities, attacks against Ukraine, to prevent it from the resolutions. It always used a veto power. So, there is a big debate on that, how to reform UNO, how to reform veto power, whether to have veto power or not, whether to extend the Security Council members from 5 to 8 or something like that. So, there is a big debate going on, and Kofi Annan is not the secretary now, earlier Kofi Annan, he was a very popular one. He started to debate a lot of reforms, but nothing changed. The point is, even to take any reforms in the Security Council, they need permanent members to support it. Understand? So, permanent members, Russia and China are never supporting. So, permanent members P5 has become 3 versus 2. What is 3? USA, UK and France. These 3 are like one team, and Russia and China, that is like one team. So, nothing happens, nothing is resolved as long as these 2 countries are there. Okay. Now, Assembly, Security Council, Economic and Social Council, that is third one. Secretariat, the Secretariat is like office of UNO, everything drafted there, okay? Everything is decided, like it is like a office of the UNO, okay? It is like all clerical jobs, everything takes place there, documentation, everything. Then International Court of Justice, 15 judges are there, and it deals with the legal matters of the disputes between countries and everything. International Court of Justice, you can say ICJ, that is International Court of Justice. This one UNSC means United Nations Security Council. This is UNGA, United Nations General Assembly. Okay. Then there is one more thing, 6th principal organ, Trustee Council. It is no longer there, it does not exist. The reason is, it was there until 1994, because one nation Palau, it is island nation, and when it became independent country, there was no need of a trusteeship council. What is the trusteeship council? See, after World War I, World War II, some of the territories were under UNO, under UNO. UNO was taking care of those territories. It was not like independent countries. So, when allied powers or international organizations, they were not trying to resolve, they found it difficult to resolve whether to give to this nation or that nation, they just kept it like neutral under the watch of UNO. Those nations are like trustee territories. Now, when there was no trustee territory, there was no need of a trustee councilship. So, trustee council was dissolved because it was there, only one country was there, Palau, island nation, that also became independent. So, sixth principal organ was okay, it was actually it does not exist now, only up to 1994. Okay. So, that is about no, it is not like 15 countries, Kritika, it is not for like 15 countries, that is a different criterion they take from different reasons, not from UNSC. Okay. So, UN General Assembly may resolve non-compulsory recommendations. That means, UN Secretary, okay, that Security Council takes compulsory suggestions, but it takes non-compulsory recommendation of states to suggest to the Security Council, okay, decides on the admission of new members. That is why it has 193 members, okay, selects the non-permanent members of UNSC. See, you have Security Council have got permanent and non-permanent. Non-permanent members are selected by UN General Assembly. Members of Economic and Social Council, UN Secretary General, judges of the International Court, all are appointed by UN, United Nations General Assembly. Okay. So, time is up. We will discuss, we will resume this topic in the next week, that is on Thursday. Until then, it is a good night from my end. Online students, thank you for your time. We will see you in the next class next week. Because some few students are there due to the technical stack. So, it is a very important topic. We will start in the next class. Thank you, Sohini, Vishwas. Good night all of you online students.